It is Holy Week coming up, finding out how religious communities across Montana are celebrating the greatest event of the Christian year while members are staying home due to coronavirus.
I'm John Shearer, and coming up I'll explain why gray wolves in Yellowstone, like this one, are sometimes black.
We are just ahead of 6:30 now on this Monday morning. I'm a socially distant Caitlin Corbett with Chet Lehman and Matt Elwell over in our studio. So I can't really speak to the weather today as much because I didn't have to go outside to come to the studio, thankfully. But I did look at the weather app and it looks like a pretty mild morning.
You're exactly right. And this is our Brady Bunch look, by the way,
Yes,
just so people know. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful morning this morning. We're seeing 20s and 30s for parts of the area. And we are seeing some snow out toward West Yellowstone and near Big Sky. So very possible that we'll be dealing with a few isolated showers in the morning. Look at that. It turns to rain and maybe even a rumble of thunder possible later today. We are seeing skies clearing out early on. It's afternoon and evening showers that could include a thunderstorm in parts of the area. We're going to talk about warmer temperatures for the rest of the week. That's, of course, coming up in just a little bit.
All right, thank you very much, Matt. We begin with the latest numbers on the coronavirus situation across the state of Montana.
Yeah, according to the State Health Department, we are now at 298 confirmed cases, 6 confirmed deaths. Last one reported in Missoula County on Saturday. Gallatin County now has 115 cases, Yellowstone County with 40. Silver Bow remains at 11 cases. Madison County has increased to 9 cases over the weekend. Park County has 6. 24 people have been hospitalized. 6,603 tests have been completed.
Just ahead of 6:31 now. Around the world, Christians are observing Holy Week while adjusting to different ways of worshiping at a time of coronavirus. MTN's Tim McGonigal spoke to some church leaders who are using the power of prayer from a distance.
The pews at Montana churches are usually filled with the faithful during Holy Week, but coronavirus concerns have made religious leaders rethink the way they deliver messages.
We've been using every technological means possible.
They've taken to live streaming services, even meeting with other churches over the internet. But COVID-19 is not slowing religious leaders down.
Strangely, it's in many ways, I've been as busy as I've ever been.
Episcopal Bishop Marty Stebbins was preparing for high-tech worship before coronavirus came to Big Sky Country.
When we started having cases near Montana, I had a discussion with the clergy about starting to practice virtual services.
In a time where spiritual connection is important, sometimes it's even the old school communication that can be most effective.
I really encourage my pastors to actually phone people, so it's not just a text or an email, but so people hear a live voice.
We still have many congregations in our synod, particularly the rural part, who use radio.
One benefit broadcasting affords churches is the opportunity for a larger audience.
Our services and our other offerings are potentially a lot more public. And so we've actually had, if you will, a higher Sunday attendance than we've had before.
And leaders say stay-at-home directives can be a way to bring families closer together.
All too often we think the only place we can be church is in a building that's called the church, but we're church all the time, including as we are together as family.
Many Holy Week services will be available online. Bishop Warfield will stream from the University of Providence. And when it comes to Easter Sunday, some will wait until they can all gather together.
I know of a number of congregations who have decided that when this is all over, that's when they're going to hold their Easter Sunday worship, the first time they come back.
Who knew we would have our lives defined by a little virus that's not even alive? In all of that, we are still finding good news.
In Great Falls, Tim McGonigal, MTN News.
It is now 6:33 on this Monday. For a majority of the people, the COVID-19 pandemic is the first large-scale health crisis of their lifetime. But it's not the first for Montana. MTN's Tom Wiley looked into the similarities and differences between the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic and the spread of coronavirus in 2020 and what might come next.
In late 1918, World War I was coming to an end, but a new danger was emerging. Pierce Mullen, a retired history professor at Montana State who's published several articles on the scientific and medical history of Montana, explains.
Because we were at war, we didn't really know very much about the disease, and we didn't really understand the importance of segregating the military population.
It's unclear exactly where the 1918 virus originated, but it's commonly called the Spanish flu because media attention picked up after it passed through Spain, which was neutral during World War I and didn't practice information censorship. The first American cases were found in military camps and cities in the Midwest and quickly spread to the rest of the country, killing nearly 500,000 Americans and some 5,000 Montanans. One of the key differences between the coronavirus and the Spanish influenza is who it affects. While COVID-19 primarily puts seniors and immunocompromised people at risk, the Spanish flu targeted young, healthy males, which meant Montana was hit hard.
And the reason for that was that men could absorb a much greater infective load. And when they got into the lungs, they triggered what is now called a cytokine storm. In other words, your very powerful immune system over-mobilized. A healthy man would go to work at 7:30 in the morning and be dead by 5:30 in the afternoon.
With a lack of global communication and several countries practicing wartime censorship, there were almost no warnings for the 1918 pandemic. By the time restrictions were in place, it was almost too late.
Mom and pop grocery stores were the staple of every neighborhood. They absolutely refused to close, not only because they would lose their income, but the neighborhood was utterly dependent on them. They didn't have Costco, they didn't have Target, they didn't have Albertsons or Safeway. And there was horrendous resentment against being closed. And this was all done at the local level. The state didn't close you down, your local mayor and city council did.
The fear in 2020 is that the COVID-19 pandemic will overwhelm the American medical system. Well, that was a reality in 1918 with much less advanced healthcare facilities.
There were not the major big hospitals that you and I are familiar with. These were often reused houses, 2 or 3-story houses. So what we call hospitals and what they called hospitals were really quite different.
Ultimately, Montana, the country, and the world emerged from the 1918 pandemic. Mullen believes recovery in the present day will be similar.
It's uncomfortable. It's economically devastating. It's going to take an enormous amount of work to restore these small, fragile businesses. And you really need to make a joint effort to have everybody contribute to the greater good.
Tom Wiley, MTN News.
6:37 now. The Bozeman City Commission will hold its weekly meeting today, but it will be held online. Main topic of discussion is the Armory Hotel project downtown near Main Street. Commission will hear appeals to the site plans application and then take public comment. The commission will decide whether or not to overturn or amend the application after the hearing appeals.
So the Armory Hotel is, there's been a ruling on that from the city. It's been covered by the media, and there'll be there are appellants. There are several appellants, and so we'll work that out Monday night, April 6th.
By the way, members of the public are invited to participate in the virtual commission meeting. The link to the WebEx conference will be available on our website.
Switching gears a bit now, one of the most striking icons of Yellowstone National Park is the black wolf. MTN's John Shearer reports on the secret behind the origin of the creature's color.
Wolves come in a lot of colors.
Black wolves are throughout the Rocky Mountains in the United States and up into Canada. As you get further north, you get into more white Arctic wolves. And then in the central part of the Great Lakes sticks, you have more gray wolves and very few black wolves.
So why is that?
It's important for things like camouflage, behavior, finding mates, thermoregulation.
But the gray wolf has its name for a reason.
We noticed that our wolf packs that had 2 gray breeding pairs could only produce gray offspring.
So where did black wolves come from?
Early humans across the Bering Land Bridge.
Yes, humans and our pets.
Humans bringing domestic dogs across about 7,000 years ago brought these dogs that had black coat color genes in them, and some of these dogs bred with wild wolves somewhere in the area of the Yukon, and this gene got into wild wolf populations.
A gene found when cutting-edge technology was used to sequence the genome of Yellowstone wolves. That gene isn't just for color. Black wolves also have a stronger immune system thanks to the gene. But gray wolves have a genetic advantage of their own.
We found that gray-colored female wolves had higher litter success, survival of their pups, than black-colored wolves.
Staler says that's why no one color is dominant. Yellowstone wolves are split 50-50 by color. But the black ones owe 100% of their color to humans and our dogs. In Bozeman, John Shearer, MTN News.
And you can find a link to Staler's full presentation on wolf genetics on our websites. That is so interesting because that's something you would have no idea. Well, that black color is.
And we didn't know until they started studying those Yellowstone wolves that that was actually going on. That's fascinating. 7,000 years ago.
That is so fascinating.
We've learned so much.
That is such a crazy story.
25
you do.
years
All right,
of learning.
6:39 now. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back on Montana this morning, the coronavirus death toll in the U.S. nearing 10,000. Coming up, what medical leaders are saying about the coming week. First, here's a look at what's ahead on CBS This Morning.
Ahead on CBS This Morning, we take you inside a Brooklyn hospital for a first-hand look at the challenges facing doctors and nurses who are treating coronavirus patients. Also, first on CBS This Morning, we go behind the scenes at Ford, where workers are stepping up production of much-needed ventilators. Plus, as Easter Sunday approaches, two prominent preachers talk about spreading the gospel during a national emergency. And the former host of Reading Rainbow, actor LeVar Burton, on incorporating more books into children's lives while all of us are stuck at home. We'll see you at 7.